have about, 60 people here in the theater. Some of our key leaders we call University Council. Before we get started with the prayer, though, I want to welcome you here. Of course, a lot of the Marian communities on WebEx. I'm sure it's a highlight of your day compared to Netflix and all those other items. You get on WebEx for the State of the University address. So happy screen watching. Also, because this is, of course, we invite our Board of Trustees and other key leaders to get a little update. But this is because our friends at Ancilla College are also on the WebEx. So we want to welcome you in a special way. You can hear the resounding applause, and means we're going obviously through an important transition year. So it's important to start doing excellent communication and make sure that you're available to hear where we're all going together as one Marian University in many places. But also, if you have any questions, you can type them in and we'll try to address them as we go. Like everything we do, starting our day, starting a meal, starting a meeting, taking the first big step off a diving board, you always say a prayer first. So before we do the State of the University address, Vice President for Mission Effectiveness, Sister Mary Beth Giannoli. Sister Mary Beth.
Let us pause and remember that we are in the presence of God and God is in our presence as we pray. Divine Creator, we gather to appreciate the blessings which are the essence of Marian University. We thank you for calling us together. It is our privilege and responsibility to support, foster, and advance the Catholic Franciscan mission of Marian University. Enable us to draw from the wisdom and experience of those who have gone before us as we explore new ways to further our mission. Give us the freedom to speak the truth boldly with kindness. Give us patience to listen openly. Give us confidence to discover and explore new possibilities. Give us wisdom to discern what is right, good, and just. Give us courage to participate in the ongoing work of creation. Through the intercession of Mary, Seat of Wisdom, may we be a catalyst for the continued success of Marian University. May we faithfully proclaim the good news of the gospel, and may each of us continue to bring light to the world. Amen.
Thank you, Sister. Seat of Wisdom. That's where we sit, right here. A Seat of Wisdom University. So I would start off this with my reflection. State of University, I usually do a couple iterations and people help me put some things together. It started this way, thought in prayer to where we're at, where I'm at in service to the university, in relationship to so many great colleagues that are good leaders. Step back. There's no way, if you get some prayerful reflection of where we're at as a university, as a community, and all I can think of is very thankful. Let's talk about the pandemic just for a moment. Our strategic plan and what we've done to continuous improve day-to-day operations and our strategic initiatives. And I'm going to talk about some pretty big ideas around the corner for our university. Plan, which most schools don't do 10-year plans, but we do robust and then a thorough review at 5 years. We did this plan in 15. It's now 20. So this year I'll be talking about how we'll review the plan. So we'll do all that, but we really need to think about the situation we find ourselves in. We've done three things that I am in awe in. of and thankful for, and very proud and humbled to be with you as we did it together. We managed this institution through a pandemic in a remarkable way. We took care of our students. The student evaluations from last spring were actually a little higher than the spring before. That took a big effort. It took double, triple effort. But more important than that, we didn't have to just fall to pieces and go crazy because we had something come upon us that we didn't plan on. We didn't plan on a pandemic. We didn't have any choice at that. That was delivered to us. I'm most proud of the choices we made prior to the pandemic. 2 years prior, 3 years prior. We've hired very talented people, mission-driven people. We did a lot of planning. I must say, Dr. Silva and Dr. Anakim before him, and the deans and the faculty, developing online strategies over the years and thinking about if we had a natural disaster or something, how would. So the day the pandemic hit, we weren't like, oh my gosh, I never thought we'd have to deliver an education in a different way. We've been thinking about these things. We've hired mission-driven people, faith-filled people, student-centered people, quality-centered people, and good co-workers. So we've come through a pandemic, and I think of three things that are remarkable. One, our day-to-day operations in these conditions are really quite exceptional. Now, I know a lot of young people, and some of them have made terrible decisions in their life going to other universities in Marian. And I ask them how things went. And I get responses like, it sucks. That's, that's a 20-year-old's response. When something sucks, it sucks. Classes online were just a bunch of slides delivered. Look at these slides. Here's the test. I've heard all sorts of stories. I've heard tremendous response from ours, and we have formal response. So our day-to-day, we did well. A lot of universities, a lot of enterprises across the board said, well, there's a pandemic. We can't advance our strategic plan. We didn't do that. On every strategies, the key strategies we care about, what did we move forward? Reorganize marketing enrollment, moving forward with the business, moving forward with STEM, moving forward with the things we had on our plate. We didn't say, oh, there's a pandemic, let's back up. We moved. Not only did we move on our established strategic priorities, we said, what news around the corner? What has the pandemic given us for new opportunities, new options? What kind of ways can we serve the kind of thinking we had 12 years ago when we started a medical school, or started thinking about it seriously? And now look at all that we're doing in the medical professions. So I'm very thankful we were able to do all three of those things. We didn't freeze in place and hurt our students. We didn't drop our strategic initiatives. We moved ahead. Wow. And then we've had creativity, innovation to even further. So you're very thankful. I'll do a few things real quick. We're gonna look at it. I couldn't do them all, so don't be upset. Some highlights of places we're making great progress. I want to talk about our strategic initiatives, and then what are we going to do in this strategic key things we're going to look at boldly move us forward. So that's our new Kaido Wagner Hall. And of course, I got to make sure I don't turn the thing off. Oh, yeah. By the way, the tower is up now on the Kaido Wagner Bell Tower. And yours truly went up there 2 nights ago. It's really beautiful. It's a little scary. There's no railings and things. I don't think OSHA would have appreciated it. But I just climbed right up here the old stairwell, and I looked out over campus. I have some nice pictures on my phone. It's really beautiful. Don't tell Greg Gender and those guys I was up there. It upsets them. The chapel's going very well. The art's coming together. But the view from up there is, especially when people are playing Frisbee in the lawn and all, it was really quite fun. But that's coming together. It'll be a beautiful edition, done on time and on budget. Disruptions. Very successful organizations will often chart back to times of disruption when they made a leap forward. That's my suggestion to us. Take care of our students, continuous improvement, always, 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 and then work together as a good team with the right resource, and we can move boldly forward. We're not going to rest. Depends what report you want to look at. Now, last year during the pandemic, there was a number of colleges said we're throwing in the towel. This is the last straw, it killed us. But there's a lot of reports. I would say, let's take the 20%, the lower amount. Institutions under 2,000, especially institutions under 1,000 students or around there, an awful lot of them will close. The sector of higher ed is in big trouble. There's a number of our colleagues, I used to call them competitors. I'm more worried about them now for their own good, that they're not competitors. Because these smaller schools are rich in community and quality education. It's kind of sad. Many of them are faith-based. But the fact of the matter is, even here in this city, some of this institutions are not going to make retirement contributions this year. They're not giving pay raises, and they've laid off the people. We ended the year with the right kind of cash backup to be successful. The sector's in trouble. If you sit still, you can plan on being in trouble at another day. So we've got to keep moving forward. Do well today, but you got to move forward in this sector. The top thing, educational attainment, we're talking a lot about social injustice and different groups and equity, etc. There's a lot of things you have to do. Social problems of our time. In this developed economy and in this society that we live in, educational attainment is an indispensable factor in your family, your community, your region's well-being. You can't get around it. You can get around a number of other things, and you have to address a number of things, but education is the key. A lot of education is in trouble. Clientele, it isn't reasonable, given parental, over, etc. Educational attainment's been never been more important to a good society, a good economy, a good culture. It's in a lot of the leadership we've had in this room, our board of trustees, outstanding. We have been ahead and around. Blessed to continue to be a leader, but also pick up the pace wherever. And so the nation's poised for growth. I mentioned Oklahoma City. That's, by the way, down here is our. I went down to see those guys. They're pretty rough-looking characters. I'm sure they're very polite. I did talk to them a while. They're gentlemen, but that's our rugby team. If you go down there, I'd be careful. I wouldn't just hop in that game and play for a while. It's a robust game. Here's our friends at Ancilla. Picture and look at their nice logo. And here's some of our first-time full-time freshmen. Record enrollment, first-time full-time freshmen. We have some pockets of the Marian University community where we're going to do better, by and large. Higher ed, we did a heck of a job. We have places we want to do better, and we have to do better, but we're growing nicely. Our wig or why important. If you're new to the Marian community, I don't have on today. I have worn it before talking about our wig. In 15, when the board adopted our strategic plan, we created a wildly important goal. First and foremost, because all of our students are employed we have more people calling here to employ our students than we have graduates. And they want leaders. And we grabbed that leadership vision. We said, well, how about by 2025, we double the number of graduates? When we set this goal, we had 718 graduates in 16. Last year, we went 1,000 graduates. And if you look at all the programs we created, et cetera, I'm going to stand here with confidence and say we'll beat our WIG, our wildly important goal. I think we ought to just set a new one this year when we update our strategic plan. So we'll see what we agreed to. I suspect it'll be high. Congratulations, and Ruth won't like me saying her name, but our Vice President for Student Success and her entire team with Jennifer and so many wonderful people. I don't have them all memorized, but we're doing a hell of a job, that's a technical term, in retention. Just keep moving forward. And we ought to keep moving forward in that regard, because it's probably, if you look at your mission and the students' well-being, you look at your academic reputation, look at your financial health, have high retention. It's just very, very clear. It's an essential. Record enrollment, as I mentioned, our first-time full-time freshmen were at a record. 19 new international students. Our student body now, 23%, I believe, from out of the state of Indiana. When I started here, we had about 93% of the people from about 5 contiguous counties. So things have changed drastically. International, keep making progress on that. We're proud of it. Our biggest group of 21st century scholars was 73 prior to this year, I believe. And now we have 4. We announced a big initiative this spring. We went after it. Great group of students. We've had tremendous response from our donors for financial help. And we're very proud, again, there, Jennifer and others, the outcomes of that program at this Marian University is just awesome. The retention, the graduation rates. One of our 21st century scholars this year graduated from medical school. Graduated from medical school. We're very proud of the program. Great diversity on campus, but of our students are from underrepresented groups now. If you look at the undergraduate, it's very good. San Damiano Scholar Program, was it 20? Did someone do bad math? Was it 27% growth? I know it was growth. I thought it was around 20, but anyway, almost 27% it looks growth in that outstanding program. How can we expand it? Again, the outcomes there are beautiful. We're doing very well with it. And then right now we have over 3,700 students enrolled. Throughout the year, we'll start another segment of nursing and new students at semester. So we'll go again this year over 40. And I'm sure next year at this time we'll be we'll probably be shooting for 5,000 plus Marian University total. And that's quite dramatic. If you think about it, in 2001, we were at 1,000 total. So we keep moving. So right now where other universities are looking for students and, what happened to us, we're in this environment. Our mission and identity, you want me closer this way? You want me to the podium? That's unusual for me. Do you want me, this is off? Oh. So is this not working? Would you like me to turn it off? Or you can turn it off. It is on, right? Righty. In and out. So anyway, 5 power goals at Marian University. The first one's around mission and identity. I mentioned the San Damiano Scholar Program's doing great. The Missionary Disciples Institute was at a record. It was 80-some students. It was quite interesting. They did it online, virtual. I was part of that. It was interesting. It's going well. Online prayer, the Latino initiative is well underway. Manuel is leading that effort. And last year at this time, of course, we talked about it getting started. We're making great contacts there in many places. Vision and Journey Fellows, a whole project here on campus to inculcate leadership and faith. The 314 project, 314 project is, we had a whole group of faculty work on that, integrating spirituality, Catholic intellectual tradition, of course, the St. John's Bible, and so much more. But we have great leadership with Adam and his whole team there. Academic excellence, you know, it's a point of pride. It wasn't that long ago we were ranked with other four-year faith-based colleges. And to look at the remarkable growth, to think we're in the top 3 of most innovative universities. A lot of that rating comes from our peers that rate us, that say in the Midwest, doctoral regional universities, who do you see as most innovative? To be in the top 3? I mean, I'm not surprised, but I speak from a prejudiced point of view here. But as a faculty and staff and board and administration, we have to be very proud. And the best value rating at 5th means our students get jobs, they get jobs at good pay rates, and they're not graduating with ridiculous amounts of debt. So that's how you get rated in that. In other words, we can tell a parent, look at, I don't know, we value higher ed. Sure, we value it. We get our paychecks here. We love it. This is our calling in life. In addition to how we feel about it, when you look at where we stand against other universities, this is one, and I won't use my technical term again. Oh, well, I will. This is one hell of a good value, what we're doing here. And a lot of the value of what we're doing here, you can't measure that year or even a year after you graduate. When you give someone a deep set of values, a sense of their gifts and calling and purpose in life, you've created a leader that makes a difference in the world for everybody around them. So a lot of our value you can't even measure, but when other people look at us and they look at the data about our graduates, this is a good thing. It's very, very important. We have, of course, our educational doctorate program got started. It has oversubscribed, so we had to limit enrollment. So we have more applicants than seats, and we'll continue expanding that program. The faculty that put it together and Dr. Britt and that whole group did a great job. Our classes on teaching excellence out of the Teaching Learning Center, and Liz is here. We're getting everybody with certificates and moving forward. We added theater major and applied physics. Applied physics major will be very important to us going forward. The state of Indiana, for instance, has a terrible problem. We tend in the whole state of Indiana graduate 1 or 2 or 3 physics teachers every year. You're moving into a highly technical society and we don't have any physics teachers. This will be an excellent program and we'll raise money for it, and it relates to engineering and some other great things we're doing. Graduate research culture is exploding. I was reading the NESE reports and how our students tell you on their NESE reports, a national survey of seniors, about half of our students participate with the faculty in research. I think the national average is around 19%. We're doing a remarkable job of professors engaging our students. That's moving forward nicely. The Byron School of Business. This is part of another strategy I'll talk about, but the partnership with Notre Dame to recruit minority students in a top flight MBA program starting here at Marian. And I understand their dean and everybody just signed off, and that's moving. We've signed a deal with Creighton University in Omaha that some of our courses here you take as seniors will count towards an MBA from Creighton University. It's really a great kind of model, what I consider at least a model regional university, one that we could learn a lot from, and I often look to, but partner with us. I mentioned Oklahoma City nursing, and of course the Walker Center for Applied Ethics keeps moving forward. So with just a few things that I should mention, not only our COMLEX scores in the med school were excellent, but every graduate of our medical school got their residency slot in the first week. So that was a great accomplishment. We have excellent leadership outcomes that we've written. On-campus student employment, we're teaching leadership performance review process. We're developing a leadership transcript to go with our academic transcript. The leadership program will be under the direction of the Vice President for Student Success, Ruth Rogers. Ellen did a great job putting a lot of things in place. Now we're going to integrate it throughout the campus in a lot of areas. MU Lead, we had a great number of faculty and staff in our leadership development program, and we'll get that started when the pandemic subsides. Talk a little bit about finances. In 2001, our endowment was $2.9 million. Our pure endowment, when I put this slide together, was $86.6 million. At the end of the year, our total invested funds was $113 million. We have money in addition to endowment of cash reserves. The board actually was quite insistent that we didn't know what direction the pandemic would do to our enrollment and income. So really, we have in invested money, we have some money in escrow for the bonds and different things. Our invested money now is over $100 million. Compared to some institutions, that would be minor. But compared to where we come from and most institutions, and we have not, in my entire time here, touched the endowment, the corpus, the principal. We use 4% of the income, we put the rest back in, and we get new donations, so this will just continue to grow. We want it to be $250 million, just because you want something doesn't mean it's going to happen, by 2025. So we'll have to keep moving hard on that, because when your balance sheet has a lot of resources on it, you can weather storms and get involved in new initiatives. So we want a strong, you don't say, oh, well, we have some money, let's spend it right away. We will invest it, but we're going to be in a strong financial position. Forging Leader campaign, I have 141 up there, but we're actually, I'm going to announce it, don't tell anybody, in October. Our goal was to raise $150 million by 2021. We're at about 145. We're at about $165 million as I speak to you today. Matter of fact, this quarter, July 1st, has been our best fundraising quarter in the history of the institution by quite a bit. So while a lot of people are saying, oh, the pandemic, we can't raise money, we were pleased to see people sit at home and not call their donors, because we were able to get a hold of them easier. And it's a little more complicated than that. I'm kind of teasing. But the fact of the matter is, and we're very blessed. I mean, we thank God for it. But we will announce we're way past the goal. So what do we do here when we go past a goal? We create a new goal. So now our goal is $250 million, $250 million before 2025. And hard work and prayer and keep doing things that are important, like our 21st Century Scholar Program, etc. And I believe we'll hit that goal as well. But right now, we have to be quite thankful. So we're moving to the 250. We intend to beat that goal as well. And that'll be an important part, of course, our whole development. I would say in terms of resources, and we could talk about this in general terms, but it's true, the leadership we've attracted and the faculty hires and the staff hires are probably, no doubt, our greatest asset. And of course, it helps to have the resources to pay people, et cetera. But not to embarrass anybody, but I'm just thinking of the front row here, Marcia Casey and Dr. Wright, the dean of our medical school. We have so many places where I see tremendous leadership and people moving forward. Dr. Turner has taken on the dean of the Klipsch College, one of our big initiatives. So we're really rolling forward in terms of what we have available to lead all these initiatives, faculty to pull it off. It seems like when we turn, we lose the look at what's going on. So we're in a pandemic, and we have all these things, and we're talking about, hey, let's start some new stuff. Let's take some bold moves. I can't help but think back to 1937 during the Depression, and the sister said, hey, let's move from Oldenburg down to Indianapolis. And I think they referred to it as a preposterous undertaking. So there is a point when you pivot with leverage. What are your strengths, and try to make pivots off of those so you can be a step ahead. Go back before we did the medical school, and let's pretend we didn't do that. And then we probably wouldn't have the graduate nursing. We wouldn't have nurse anesthesiology. We wouldn't have biomedical sciences. And then look at our income, look at our academic status, look at the scale of the place, just makes you healthy to have more students. We would be in the same situation as a lot of small colleges. Right when things were getting better here at Marian, things were rolling in 2006, 2007, 2008. We started this crazy football team, and they were rolling, and we had enrollments increasing. We could have said, we're doing pretty well. Let's don't do anything more. But I'm looking at one of our board members. We don't do that. We always say, hey, what are we called to do? So I just look at a couple instances. I remember in 2007-8, when we brought up the idea, let's don't be Marian College, let's build a great Catholic university in this great American city. Some people looked at us and said, you're never going to be a great university. You can't do that. We're a college. Stay in your place. What do you want to do? You're never going to build a medical school. You're never going to, whatever. Of course, it's always more exciting when someone says you can't do it. It's just a little more fun. But it really doesn't matter. You have to look at the data. You have to do the analysis. You have to give it the prayer. And you have to connect it to your mission. And if you're called to move, you move. And there's some things nudging at us now in 2029. We're going to relook at our strategic plan. And we're going to look basically on 3 columns. 4,500 plus students this year by the end of the year. You could very well see where Marian University could be an 8,000 to 12,000 student university going forward if we continue to push forward and successfully implement plans and implement projects and implement programs. Now, it won't be all on this campus in Cold Spring Road. It will be in a lot of different places. But the fact of the matter is, we, as we've been growing, see a possibility for this. You don't have to have a great big institution in one place. You have to have very intimate, highly successful educational nodes, yet programs on campus and other places. That's how you do it. The economic model behind each little campus having their own chief financial officer, their own president, their own board, their own everything is not the way of the future. There needs to be new models. And we're pursuing that. We've been pursuing it for about 10 years. We're getting better at it. And now things with our friends at Ancilla, bringing a whole campus as part of the Marian University will be another step forward. And this is how it might end up looking for us. Right now, I mentioned we're in Oklahoma City. We're in Nashville, Tennessee. We have a different kind of a partnership with Creighton. We have a memorandum of understanding of possibly putting an educational center in Westfield, Indiana, and a new YMCA. We have a signed agreement. A memorandum of understanding isn't a full commitment yet, but they're going to negotiate with us. What can we put in Westfield? Of course, you know about Ancilla. I mentioned the Notre Dame deal. We're supposed to have a nursing program at Calumet, inside Calumet College. Doesn't have a nursing program. To start one's a big deal. Okay, well, we'll partner with you. And that'll put our nursing program up in the region, right? That's a good place for us to be. And you'll see our presence expand there. We continue to talk to St. Joe Rensselaer about different things we can do together, and we are doing together. Of course, wherever there's an Ascension or a Trinity, where there's Catholic healthcare, we're having discussions. Other institutions of higher learning, Catholic, of different denominations, have contacted us and they want to have some kind of discussions. They know about the vision of Marian and they want to become part of something bigger. So there'll probably be more developments in the coming years, it looks like. People are contacting us. I always, when I share this, the power goals don't change. Mission and identity, academic excellence, of course, enrollment. If you don't have students, really, everything else is scenery. Leadership, we want to educate leadership for service to the world with the right kind of trustworthiness, health, inquisitiveness, and skills to make a difference. And to do all this, you have to keep expanding resources, human resources, financial resources, technology resources, and beautiful buildings whenever possible. We have three columns. A is continuous improvement. Tomorrow, when we teach a communication class, make it better than today. You know, every day, when we teach medicine, whatever we teach, however we serve students, do what you do every day a little better. I was let in on the championship rings from our football team, and on the side of it, it says, win every day. The day of a national championship game isn't the day you decide to be a winner. You win every day, and you get more students because you have excellent courses and excellent services, and they go home to their neighborhood and to their old high school and to their church, and they say, I go to Marian and I love it. Professors there are something else. I love it. That's where we get our students, by and large. The other one is to extend a present program. So we have strategic initiatives that we laid out, like, for instance, in STEM. For instance, we said we were going to do some big, bold national move in education. These are strategic changes. Sure, there's continuous improvement in that department, but there's more than that. We said we were going to be bigger in health sciences. We have a medical school, we have good partners, and we're in a big city. Let's take health sciences and go with it. And it's moving, okay? Then the third column are bold initiatives where you're kind of looking around the corner and you're saying, hey, this would be a big, bold move. We don't do this now, but we feel a calling, we see a need, and we could do this stuff. And that's how we'll look at the strategic plan this year with our board, and our faculty and staff will say, what in the 2025 plan that we created 5 years ago, what still makes sense and we ought to double down on it? What did we have in there that sounded good, but it was really not a very good idea? Let's erase that. Okay, with a computer, it's easy. Then you look and say, you know, there's opportunity. For instance, we look at the pandemic, and K-12 schools badly need help in how do you teach online, either in a recovery mode or in the summer or at night or in the weekends. Could our Klipsch College become a real leader in that? That'd be a whole new venture, huh? So we have some strategic initiatives we're working on, and we're going to keep working on them unless someone says, hey, we got to get out of that. Working really hard and well at something that doesn't make a difference, you have to stop it. Because if you're doing things that are not big time help, it's a violation of your mission, and eventually it'll get you in financial trouble because you got to put your resources in what matters most. So we'll look at all that. I have those blue bars in between because it's not quite perfectly organized like that. For instance, take between here. We have a big STEM initiative going. We're building a pipeline for talent, diverse talent into med school, into nursing, et cetera, et cetera. We've really expanded biology department. We've made some terrific hires in chemistry, right? We're moving forward. We have two, in addition to Dr. Enneking, our leader, we have two, engineering professors. with physics background, undergraduate engineering. We've expanded math. We've put some great faculty. I saw the enrollment keeps going up in math. That's a big deal for us. We're moving forward on it. Well, there's something, we run an engineering program right now that's not, it's kind of difficult to operate and manage. Students have to be here 5 years. The financial underpinnings aren't very, aren't advantageous to us. So what is a school, a liberal arts-based school like Marian University, should we create our own engineering school? How about, if you do that, why not look into architecture? So we're looking around the corner, what more can we do? Where could we be that we don't imagine today? And by the way, I should say up front, I brought the engineering school. In the next coming weeks, we're going to have some big announcements about that. We have commitments and we're finishing up some more. We have some consultation to do with the board. We have some consultations to do with deans and faculty. But we really feel like in this big city, to set up a first-class engineering school tied to our liberal arts education and a Catholic university would be a mammoth piece of progress. We've acquired some super deluxe, you know my language. We've been able to secure some super deluxe magnanimous gifts for that, and we're real close to being about the place where we'll be able to announce a big move there. That would be an example of a bold move, a whole nother level forward. It would enhance, first of all, we'd have to build the building. You'd enhance your labs. You'd make chemical engineering with our chemists. Math would go up even further. You know what I mean? There's a multiple. A lot of engineering involved with medicine. Certainly would give us, some people would decide why they're being engineers. I think I want to be a physics teacher, et cetera, et cetera. So we see multiple opportunities. And so, that's one example of a bold. I'll give you a clue, some things during the planning process I do want to push on a little bit. Some of them aren't new, but I want to take them, I want to challenge our community to at least think about how do we go another step. The leadership program. How do we consistently recognize as an institution, regardless where the institution operates, whether it's in Nashville, Tennessee, or Ancilla, you know, people I hire out of Marian, they come into my company, they come into my school, they come into the nursing floor, they come into the residency, and they're just leaders. What do you do at Marian that cultivates these kind of people that make people around them better? We got to keep pushing on that. If we were distinguished in that, we will have an institution that has to say, sorry, Charlie. Hope there's no Charlie in here. You have really good, but we only can take 600 students this year. You know, I know you want in our med school, we had 5,000 applications for med school, but we picked our group and, you know, so there's going to be more people who want to be here than we can handle. But if we take that to the next level, we want to challenge one another to do that. The talent pipeline. We have a deep calling in this institution as Christians, Catholic Christians, when we see people standing by the side of the road, vulnerable, underserved, undernourished, under-resourced, under-opportunityed, we can't just keep walking and say, that's your tough shot, you should have been me. We're called to build a pipeline, a talent pipeline with our K-12 schools, like our 21st Century Scholars, and get more students from various backgrounds in med school. And if we can kick this engineering school off, get them in engineering and get them in education so our teachers look like our students, we can't sit by and just say, well, someone else will do it. We are called to be a leader in that. We're doing some neat things with the Latino Initiative and others, but more needs to be done. There's too much of a disparity between the majority populations and certain pockets in our society. And as your president, and I know you feel this way because I work with you, we're not going to sit there and just watch it. I think about our business school and teaching, getting investment in poorer neighborhoods. You know, we live around a neighborhood that needs investment. Our friends at Ancilla, how do you develop rural areas? to bring investment and make it attractive. Educational attainment will help, but we have a lot of smart people we can do that. How do we do it? The Eclipse Educators College is doing great. We just went over the $40 million mark of fundraising. The enrollment's good, it's diverse, it's about more than twice better than it was 4 or 5 years ago, but there's more needs to be done. We have a lot of faculty that are in K-12 schools right now that need a lot of help in changing and improving how they teach, and they need new ways and new technology. Can we do more than just prepare new teachers? Can we help with the in-service of present teachers? We have a lot of bold ventures. One I mentioned. What would happen if we had our standalone, fully accredited engineering school? What would that do for business and science? And we're close on that one. We've done a little noodling through Dr. Enneking, some other places on architecture. We keep probing new, bold initiatives to build a great university. What would a PhD program, possibly in science or some other areas, do for us and for the world? Mentioned multi-campus. We're going to continue those discussions. We like the small campus. There's great relationships. It's close to the learner. There's a lot of research behind that, especially our less well-resourced students usually go to school close to home. And if there isn't a place that works well close to home, they probably don't go to school, to college, to get degrees. But these small campuses are being overwhelmed by the economics of higher ed. But together we can figure it out. And so we're going to keep looking at this multi-campus reach of Marian University. We'll keep looking at first-class facilities. We're still negotiating. We're making slow progress on LaRue Carter down the street. Anytime we're going to have some space in 16 Tech for some of our researchers. We're going to keep looking for first-class facilities, including the technology. We keep investing. Ray Stanley will probably he'll use all of our cash reserves alone. Yes, you're part of the problem, but he's also a big part of the solution. We can't be in a lot of places without Ray and his team. You're going to have to do that. And then we're building a beautiful facility, and what we want to start doing now, and this is in relation to the engineering initiative, you know how the back of Marian Hall is really the front of Marian Hall? If you walk from the quad, what do you see? That road that was there was the service road. That's where they brought the bale and everything in the old day. So extending our science labs and putting in engineering facilities, we're going to look very serious at putting that onto a first class, possibly about a 40,000 square foot, beautiful entrance and research and faculty offices, et cetera, to expand sciences and engineering. That'll be our next big facility move we want to do on the campus. Exactly how we're paying for it, we don't know all that, but we're working on it, okay? And I think we'll get it done. Here's one and I said something to Mr. Downing before I brought it up publicly. We think as a kind of the flagship brand, Marian University, could we play athletics at the highest level? Would that be a smart thing to do? And we've started doing the research, Mr. Downing, and he has some help. Ethan Hemer and some others are helping getting the data. And of course, we wouldn't do that in snap judgment, but you're looking out by 2029, where will we be in regard to athletics? We have a remarkable athletic program. I don't think there's anything quite like it in the country, where every sport's so competitive and doing well. And we have an outstanding leader with Division I experience, et cetera. So we think it's time to look at it and figure out what it would take and why it would be good and why it might not be so good. But we're going to go ahead and move forward and understand that. We'll continue on STEM. Computer science is moving forward. We're set up to do this in this city with the internships. If you look at the neighborhood we're in and the schools contiguous to that, that's going to be our future STEM workers. And right now they're grossly underrepresented in the STEM fields. Well, again, we're not going to sit here and just watch that when we can do something about it. So it'll take resource and creativity. Number 9 is going to get a lot of attention. I've talked to Dr. Silver about it quite a bit. We have a very clear agreement. You can't be a great Catholic university without a great arts and humanities program. We've made great progress in the health professions and in mission and all sorts of things. We've got our theater major back. Mr. Tebby's a good leader in here in the theater. There's a lot of potential, but we need a plan. We need to enliven arts and humanities on campus, take it to a new level. That's going to need a plan the next 5 years. And by 2029, it'll be all different, okay? If we commit to it. It'll be great for student life. It'll be great for the, you know, we had a big listening sessions on the STEM plan a couple years ago. And all these experts in what we needed for employees in the future and in technology, what'd they talk about? Creativity, ability to express yourself, writing skills. They don't want just a narrowly educated technologist. They want a liberal arts-based person with values and trustworthiness. That's our business. So we've got to build that up. The Byram School of Business, in every way, this is a business. There's not enough thriving businesses in low-income communities. How do we create them? How do we make sure we're training students to be these, with the Walker Center, highly ethical? Highly ethical businesses, by the way, are much more successful long-term. We talk about educating leaders. We have a big role to play. And the business school, of course, is moving forward. Dr. Rowski is a good leader. Great start. He's got things moving. We're going to have to keep elevating its role in the Marian community. What we'll do in each of these areas and where we'll end up in 2029, who knows? But we're going to give a lot of thought and prayer to it, no matter where Marian operates, and say what's best to build us a bold and exciting future. So that should be enough to keep us busy for a while. And now I think I should probably take questions. How much time do I have, Maggie? Well, good. Any questions? Maybe. Oh. How will we return to all in-person class? Is this working? Yeah. We are a community. We've learned a few things through the pandemic. Technology is powerful. It can be very helpful. This enterprise is based on community, personal relationship, exchange of ideas, seeing the full expression of your friends. We belong together. That doesn't mean we're not interested in extending learning, et cetera, through technology and enhancing it and expanding it. But every inch we can move back to full in-person community classes wherever possible, that's our goal. That's the kind of university we are. That's how we share faith. That's how we share ideas. That's how we build relationships. That's how we build mission. So we'll keep doing it as safe as we can do it every inch of the way. How are the finances of MU amid the COVID? Again, the finance committee, starting really in March, right away when we closed down, we have, I think it's a monthly meeting. Greg is listening on the, we have regular check-ins with the finance committee, but we ended the year in the strongest cash position in my 19 years of service by far to the university, in service to the university, and that's interesting in the COVID environment. A lot of folks were very good at saving money, and we stayed on the fundraising trail, and we did great with enrollment. And that's the trifecta in this operation. Watch how you spend your money, get your enrollment up, we're enrollment driven, and be relentless inviting people to participate in our mission. So frankly, it was kind of amazing. Oh, we are growing. Do we have enough people to support all these big ideas? Just row harder. No, that won't work. By the way, we wrote a grant, and we're about 99% sure we're going to get it, for just $1 million straight up check to help with adding people with this multi-node, like with Ancilla, you're going to need some more people, right, to support all these positions. So we're working there. In all of our proposals, like when we, Dr. Enneking and some Dr. Silva and others, looking at this idea of an engineering school, we don't think we're going to do it with the same number of people, okay? So we put in all the plans, we put in endowment money for positions and for scholarships and for facilities. So whoever asked the question is, you're right. I understand what you're saying. Say, President Elsener, I'm already pedaling pretty fast, and you just said you're going to do this and you're going to do this. First of all, I didn't quite say that. I said we're going to look seriously at how we move it forward, but we understand it'll need more resource. And any plan we put together, we'll take that into account, okay? And we'll work hard to make sure that's in place. What makes us one of the most innovative schools? Well, I think if you looked at where we started, that's a good question. If maybe I should ask that person back, what do you think? But I'm just looking at, wasn't that long ago we were Marian College, 1,000 total students. Then we started to grow. And then it was a bold move to start a medical school. And we used to be an all-women's institution. And that was ingrained. And the sisters said, no, in the 50s, we're going to be the first co-ed Catholic college university. I think all along through our history, but it's really accelerated. We've done a lot of things here, saying we're going to be a national exemplar in preparing and recruiting and preparing teachers. I think our multinodal strategy has been a bold move. How we've done athletics here, I mean, I know all of our contemporaries. Matter of fact, I think they're probably a little sick of us being so good, but that kind of happens. When they beat you a lot, it's easier to be a friend to you, but it's harder to be gracious in defeat. But I think in a number of things, we've just moved forward. You look at the campus. So I think our friends in higher ed are looking at our enrollment growth, building outstanding graduate programs, first nurse anesthesiology program in the state. When we were told, no, you can't have that here in Indiana, we don't need it. Are we partnering with any colleges outside of the Midwest? Not yet in any significant way. And it might make some sense to kind of geographically stay a little closer to home. We've had some interesting conversations in Ohio and a few other places, but right now we're kind of regional. Oklahoma City is about as far as we've gone that way. We tried to do a teaching site in California about 6-7 years ago. And no offense, Alan, to your home state, but it's hard to do business there. So we learned that was a ill-fated adventure. Will Ancilla students receive a tuition guarantee to continue a bachelor's degree at Marian University? We have to get that settled this year. That's a good question. I'd like to make, first of all, the one thing the academics will do is to make sure their transition to Marian is seamless academically. So it's efficient. So if you start off at Ancilla and take 2 years of courses, we want to make sure it's possible that your third and fourth year you can graduate. And so we'll work hard at that, and then we'll look at the tuition deal. How long would it take to be Division I? We don't know. Mr. Downing will work. We'll look at the steps you have to take, even if it's a good idea, because we got to make sure it's absolutely a good thing for us to do. To have one of the versions of Marian University to play in at the highest competitive level, and we'll have others 2-year college, we'll have others possibly NAIA or Division II. But if it's a good idea, then you have to have a plan and you have to. And I don't think there's any one formula that it's 2 years, 5 years, 6 years. It depends on the institution. It depends where you're located and resources, et cetera. So, any other questions from the audience? Thanks for the questions you typed in there. Well, we're about out of time. I want to welcome again our friends at Ancilla, anybody watching in other educational nodes. And I think I'll just end how I began. And I think all of us can be really proud of what we've done, especially in this difficult environment. As a matter of fact, what we've done in this difficult environment is really, if means we're an academic enterprise, in so many ways is A+ work. I think about our business students competing in that advertising campaign against the University of Michigan and investing all these brilliant schools with billion-dollar endowments. But we have some things that money can't buy. And as long as we keep serving our students well, make that the #1 priority, be relentless in improvement, always trying to do a little better, stay close to our values, hire really talented people that are dedicated to the mission, we can best anybody in anything. So thank you very, very much for all you do, and we'll see you hopefully in February for State of the Union University address, and there'll be no mask allowed, okay? Thanks, everybody.